Okay, so I make this recording to help you work with the assignment in module number 6, right? Now, the first thing about the group project. So if you scroll down in the group project here, you see that what you are required to do in this stage here, right? You must provide the basic program in either pseudocode or flowchart, prompt user to input data for multiple employee, right? So it's not the same with the checkpoint you did it before. The checkpoint you did it before, you only do it for one employee. Now you are required to do it for multiple employee, right? So for each employee, you ask user to enter the first name, and last name, employee ID, number dependent, hour work, and hour rate, right? So you keep doing it, you keep doing it. You know that you have to do it for multiple employees, so you have to work with the loop here, right? And you should implement a sentinel control loop. For example, you ensuring the program continue prompting for employee detail until ZZZ is entered as a first name here, right? So basically, the process here, you did it for multiple times in this class already, right? So think about, you look in the example in the module number 4 about the debugging exercise, right? So this one here, right? The debugging exercise number 4 here, in the module number 4, right? This program, right, intend to display employee net pay value. You do it for multiple employee, right? So what happened here, right? You see in the program, right? You get the first name of the first employee, right? So now you check if the name is not CCC, you keep doing it, right? So for each employee, you need to get hour rate, you figure out the hour rate, and you figure out the net also, right? You check if net greater than 0 or not, and you see at the end of the loop here, you need to get the new name of the next employee here in order to move to the next iteration, or in order to exit the loop, right? So that is the mainline logic, and you can apply the same in the process here is the same when you work with this one here, right? It keeps asking user to enter first name, right, until he's enter ZZZ here. For each employee, right, you need to get all the information about the last name and number of dependent and work hour and so on here, right? Right, so you after for each employee, right, you have to compute and display each employee's gross and net income. So in order to do that, you have to know what is the requirement in the project here, right? So for each employee here, you click on this one, right? For each employee here, you see you have to figure out the you have to figure out the gross incomes and net income, right? So in order to figure out the net income, you have to do with deduction for the number of the dependent, right? Also, we have to figure out for the state tax and federal tax, and after that, you can figure it out the net income here, right? So basically, the logic is quite the same with this one. It's quite the same with this one here, but in this final project here, you have to do it more with deduction, right? You have to figure it out with the dependent, you have to figure it out with state tax and federal tax here, and so on here, right? Now, the other thing in the final project here, in this step here, right, you have to apply, right, you have to what is it? Right, incorporate the input validation here to guarantee that employee ID, number of dependent, or work hour, and hour rate, they are positive number, right? So that's the process. Again, that's the process you working in the loop, right? So think about, you ask the user enter the number, and you have to check if the number is less than 0 or not, right? If less than 0, you forcing it, do it again and again until the user enters a positive number here, right? So think about in the very simple program here, right? I got it here, right? So I have the output here, right? Think about this one, right? And the positive number, right? I asking user to enter this positive number, and after that, I store into the variable number here, or axis, right? So see, after that, I have to validate, right, to make sure the number here, it is a positive number, right? It is a positive number. So you know that for this one, you have to work the loop, right? Because you asking him do it again and again and again until the number is a positive number here, right? So why X here less than or equal 0, right? Less than or equal to 0 here. You're asking him to do it again, right? Z, right? Right? You have to do it here, right? So have output here, right? You tell the user, right? You have to enter a positive number. Please enter again, right? Okay, and after the user enter it again, you store it into the variable name is at here, right? So the process here, you got it from user, right? You check if less than, you 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 ask them to enter it again and check it again, and it's still less than 0. Do it again and again and again until he enters the correct number, right? So at the end here, right? You can write the program here, right? So you can here, right? You already enter a positive number, and you can print it out as a number. There's a print it out here, right? So you see, remember, if you want to do with the validation, you have to work with the loop, right? Not the selection, not the if here. I still remember, if you use if here, actually it only do it one time, right? So what happened here? You see what happened if he enters a negative number 5 here, right? You check if less than is correct, right? You ask him to again to enter the number again. And what happened if he enters the number 10, right? So see, after the number 10, you print it out here. Negative number 10, sorry, negative number 10 here, right? It's still accept here, right? But remember, if you want to work with the validation here, you have to work with the loop, not the selection, not the if here, right? The loop, that means you keep doing it until you do it correctly. Make sense? Okay. So you can apply this the same in your program, right? If you whenever user enters a number of hour or hour rate here, you have to make sure you check they are the positive number here, right? They are positive number. And you can see for this program here, if you convert it into the Python, right? If you convert it to Python, it also is quite the same, right? The process here, you get the number, right? You check if less than, you forcing him to do it again and again here. So let's see if I run my program here, right? So see, if I enter the number 5 here, negative 5 here, right? Negative 5 here, I see. Check the condition true, right? Ask him to do it again, right? So again, if he enter negative 10 here, ask him to do it again, right? Negative 15 here, ask him to do it again until he do it correctly with the positive number. You see, until he do it correctly, right? You exit the loop and you move to the next here, right? The positive number you have to enter is number 10 here. Okay. And what happened? You see, what happened if I change this selection here? You can see that's a huge problem, right? If you want to do the validation, you have to work the loop, not the selection here. So see what happened here. I enter the negative 5, right? So the check here, yes, it's correct, right? So ask him to do it again. But what happened if he do it again with negative number? The program still accept it here, right? It's not correct, right? That's why you have to work with, sorry, that's why you have to work with the loop here, right? Not the selection, right? Okay, so that is for the final project at this stage, right? I expect you to do with multiple employee. For each employee here, keep doing it until think about user enter the first name of the employee ZZZ, right? And for each employee here, you get the input from user for the employee ID, number of dependent, our work, and make sure that you have to check them with a positive number here, right? And again, for each employee, after you figure out the net income, you check if it's greater than 0 or not, right? If it's less than 0, you just change it to 0 here, right? It's quite the same with it. It's quite the same with the with the debugging exercise in the module number 4. What else? For number 6, right? No, so project right already, right? So for making decision with relational operator, okay. This one you work with a programming exercise number 6 on page 131, right? So I open this one. Exercise number 6. Okay. So this one, right? This one, the first thing you have to identify what type of the structure for this one, right? So basically, this one work with the range structure here, right? It work with the range selection here, right? So make sure you read the section number 4.6 here. You follow the same process, right? You follow the same process. So think about this one, right? You have the three range here. Yeah, you have 0, right? You have 100, and you have the 300 here. That's the range, right? So the first step, you check if less than 100, right? You find out what is the chart in here. And the second step, if less than 300, you figure out what's the chart in here. And third, last step, greater than 300 here or equal to 300 here. So I strongly recommend you to go over to section 4.6 here, right? So 4.6 here. They have the same example here, right? If you have the 10 or fewer, right? No discount. From 11 to 24, you have 10 discount, and so on here, right? And so on here. So you can see in the program here, right? In the program here, they check with the range here, right? They check with the range here in the program. And you can see here, the first step, they check with the range number 1 here. Range number 1, that means 10 here, right? And range number 2, that means 24 here, and so on. So we can do the same process here. You apply that, it's a netted selection, right? You work with the range, netted selection here. But remember, when working with the netted selection, when you work with the making selection with the range here, you have some the problem here, right? You have some of the thing you should avoid the common error when you work the range. Check here. The first step here, right? Eliminate the dead part. So think about this one here, right? Think about this one here. You check it less than the range number 1, less than range number 2, less than range number 3 here. You do not have to check with this one anymore because for sure it is greater than range number 3, right? You do not have to check it because it's a dead part. It never ever work on this one here, right? It never ever work on this one here anymore. Right? The second thing is that you should avoid for checking the same range with multiple times, right? The same range with multiple times here. Think about this one here. Here, right? Boy, yeah. I think it might be somewhere. Yeah, right. Avoid taking the same range with multiple times, right? So think about this one here, right? You check it less than the range number 1, right? And you check it greater than range number 1 and less than range number 2 here. Actually, you do not have to check this here anymore, right? Because you already check it here, range number 1. If yes, less than, right? You go on this one. If no, for sure it's greater than, so you do not have to check it again, right? Otherwise, slow down the process of the computer here, right? So again, remember that when you work with the selection with the 2 range, remember that you work with the netted selection. That's the first thing, right? Avoiding the dead parts, that's the first one. And avoiding the checking the same range with multiple times here, okay? Now, let me see what else you have. Okay. This one, in order to work with this one, you have to learn about the truth table, and I strongly recommend you to read the whole section for the chapter number 4 here. All right. Now the last thing about the Python, right? Last thing is about the Python. Basically, for the Python, you can run it in multiple ways. You can run with the idle in Python, or you can run it in any other platform. Think about, for me, I work with the Visual Studio Code here, right? You can work with the PyCharm or whatever it is. So remember that you work with Python, right? When you work with Python here, you have the basically you have the 2 ways to run the program, right? The first one, when you open it here, that is a interactive mode, right? So interactive mode is very helpful when you run about when you run for a simple and short code here. I think about, I have I equal number 10, right? And I have I times 2, right? And instantly it printed out number 20 here, right? Or I have y equal to I plus 35, I print it out y here. So we see when you run with the interactive mode, it really helpful in the case you work with a simple program, and you can easily see what's going wrong with the program here, right? And the other way you can run is that you run in the script mode here, or you can compile it later, right? So think about if you work with a script here, right? Remember in your program here, sorry, in the assignment for this one here, right? They require you, right? They require you to work with the script here. So if you work with script, make sure that you have to go to the file, right? You open the Python, right? Here, right? Let me do it again, right? You go to the, make sure you have to install the Python in your program already, right? So we put Python here, right? So I click on this one. So in order to run with the script mode here, you go to the file, you click the new file, right? And now you run the program. I think about, I need to get the input, right? Think about, I want to print it out here, right? Print, right? Hello world. Okay. And if I want to print it more about print, sorry, I have to put it correct, right? Name. Okay, so that is when you work with script, right? So make sure that when you work with script here, after you done it, right, you save the file, right? You save the file here, and you see that when you save the file, it automatically save in the Python file here, right? So we can save it to somewhere. So think about, I save it in my desktop here, I put the tab here, right? So I save it, right? I save it and I can close it here, right? So see, when I go to my desktop here, I have the file, I just save it here. I think that here, right? And I can click on this one. It run with the, actually for this one, I really, by the default, I run with the Visual Studio Code here. But for you, right? If you are not familiar with the Visual Studio Code here, you can go to Python again, right? You can go to the Python again. Now you open, right? You click the file, you open the file, you just create it, you just save it, right? I save it in desktop here. So I have to locate where my file is. This is the one I just created here. So I click on that one, right? So that is a file. I just right here. So if you want to run it, you click the run, you run the module here, and you can see it execute for the whole time, right? It's not in the interactive mode, because interactive mode you run line by line, right? Run line by line here. So think about if I run this one in the interactive mode here, right? If I run this one in the interactive mode here, I run it one by one, right? Yeah, I have to run it one line by line here. Sorry, here. I have to do it line by line here, right? And also I have to do it the other line here. Okay, but if I work with a script mode here, I can write my whole program, and later on I can run my whole program here, right? Think about this one, I can run it here, right? I can run my program here. So yeah, I hope that helped you, right? So I give you some guideline how to work with the final project. I give you some guideline how to work with the range selection here, and I give you some highlight to how to work with the script in the Python here.